Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. I haven't done an episode of Fragrance Battle for quite a while, so today I'm going to do a new episode of Fragrance Battle. In today's video, I'm going to compare 5 fragrances that are trying to do the same thing, and that's being inspired by or being alternatives to a very famous fragrance that comes from the brand of Louis Vuitton, and it's called Ombre Nomade. The 5 fragrances featured in today's fragrance battle will be from the house of Zimaya, which is called Ilham Al Oud, from the brand of Flavia, which is called Nouveau Ombre, from Maison Alhambra, which is called Jean Lowe Ombre. I think nowadays this has a different name, I think it's called Jean Lowe Noir. From Fragrance World and FA Paris, The Shadow. And the last one featured in today's fragrance battle will be from Oros, and it's called Oros Pure Leather Gold. So let's compare all 5 of them and let's find out which is the best alternative to Ombre Nomade. Now, before I will start talking about all the alternatives and compare all 5 fragrances featured in today's video, I just wanted to mention a few quick words about the original fragrance if you're not familiar with that one. Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade is a very interesting scent that carries a very strong Middle Eastern vibe. It has the main notes there are the notes of agar oud, rose, leather. There's a nice amount of raspberry, there's some incense, you also get quite a bit of ambery sweetness. It's a very interesting, very unique scent that's very dressed up and it's great for the colder season. But it's super expensive, it's more expensive than quite a lot of niche fragrances as well. So that's why there are quite a few alternatives that are way cheaper. And with that out of the way, I'm going to go through all 5 alternatives now, and I'm going to talk about them in the order of how expensive they are, and I'm going to start with the cheapest fragrance in today's video, and that's Zimaya's Ilham Al Oud. This fragrance is super inexpensive, very affordable. At least around here in Europe, this fragrance tends to cost somewhere between 12 to 15 euros, which again makes it ultra affordable alternative to Ombre Nomade, and is by far the cheapest fragrance that's featured today. It carries a very similar scent to the original fragrance, but there are a few minor differences. First of all, you don't get pretty much none of the raspberry note that the original fragrance has. This still relies heavily on the notes of leather, of rose, and of amber as well, ambery sweetness. It's also quite incensey, but the main difference here, apart from the raspberry note, is the fact that this is pretty heavy on the agar oud note. Feels a bit animalic, and also definitely feels of a lower quality, especially that agar oud note where it feels a bit skanky and a bit animalic. It's a nice, very cheap interpretation of the original fragrance, and all around sort of the easiest and the cheapest way that you can get close to the original fragrance for next to no money. It has a decent quality, it comes in a 100 ml bottle size, and all around it's again probably the most budget-friendly way to actually get close to the original fragrance. It's going to be in last place in today's fragrance battle simply because of the quality here is pretty low compared to the other fragrances that I'm going to talk about today. One thing I forgot to mention about Ilham Al Oud is also the fact that the leather note in here feels a little bit of a less quality and is definitely the least prominent in all 5 alternatives to Ombre Nomade that are featured in today's video. And now let's move on to the second fragrance that comes from the brand of Flavia, and it's called Nouveau Ombre. This is how the bottle looks, and it's pretty similar to the original fragrance. Again, the scent is pretty similar to the original fragrance, but here this compared to Ilham Al Oud and the original has a stronger rose note. The emphasis here have been put it on the agar oud note and the rose note. It has a hint of raspberry. It has a good quality, relatively good quality leather note. It doesn't feel as incensey as the original fragrance. Again, this here feels like the emphasis has been put it on the combination of leather and agar oud and rose. This probably has the sort of the most Middle Eastern vibe out of all 5 alternatives. One thing I also forgot to mention about Ilham Al Oud, and in fact about all fragrances here featured in today's video, is the fact that all of them are good performance. The scent profile is just quite strong, usually a mix of the agar oud, leather and the rose note. That mix usually tends to be a good performing mix, and it does work well with all 5 fragrances. All of them have at least decent, if not strong or beast mode performance. And Ilham Aoud has been giving me somewhere between 7 to 8 hours of performance, which again I think, especially for the price, is pretty nice. Nouveau Ombre is probably 8 to 9 hours. It's a little bit harder projecting compared to Ilham Aoud, but this also feels like it has the most animalic agar oud note out of all 5 fragrances featured today. Price here, at least around here in Europe, it tends to cost somewhere between 25 to 30 euros, making it the second most inexpensive option. Moving on to the third option that comes from the brand of Maison Alhambra. It's called Jean Lowe Ombre. This one, again, I think nowadays has a different name, Jean Lowe Noir or something like that, but it's pretty much the same fragrance in a slightly different bottle. The bottle design is the same, simply the name is a little bit different. This one is, again, another interesting take on the original DNA. Has very good sprayer, has a magnetic cap. All around the bottle definitely feels of a higher quality compared to the first two that I just showed you. Again, another very good fragrance. The quality here is also good. This feels like it's closer to the original fragrance. Has a slightly better raspberry note, has a stronger leather note compared to the first two that I showed you. Again, relies heavily on the mix of agar oud, you know, the leather, the incense, the amber. But here what I think is a little bit different compared to the original fragrance is the type of leather note that has been used. The leather note in Jean Lowe Ombre feels like it's a little bit feels like a suede leather note compared to the original leather note that you get in the original fragrance. But all around this offers a very nice quality. Again, I really like the packaging, the bottle design and everything else about this fragrance, and all around this actually, so far from the three that I showed you, this comes closest to the original fragrance. Still lacks the quality of the raspberry note, lacks the quality of the leather note as well, but all around is closer to the original fragrance. Performance here is very good, 8, 9, even up to 10 hours with pretty loud projection. The price of this one, at least around here in Europe, this is a little bit more expensive than the first two and tends to cost somewhere between 30 to 40 euros. And let's move on to the two most expensive options, alternatives in today's video, that come from the Shadow, that FA Paris and Fragrance World, and Oros Pure Leather Gold, that is part of the Oros brand, which is something like a sub-brand of Armaf, a high-end sub-brand of Armaf. Both of them are quite expensive. The Shadow costs somewhere between 50 to 60 euros here in Europe, and Oros Pure costs even closer to 70 euros, making it the most expensive fragrance in today's video. But both of them actually have a better quality than everything else that I showed you up to this point. Another difference here is that the Shadow comes in a 60 ml bottle size, whereas Oros Pure Leather Gold is a 100 ml bottle. But both of them actually are very good, very high quality alternatives to Ombre Nomade. The Shadow, again, feels of a very interesting mix. Here I pick up a better leather note compared to all three fragrances that I showed you up to this point. The rose note here feels a little bit more floral. The amber note is slightly toned down compared to the original fragrance. The leather note feels really nice, and the agar oud note feels a little bit skanky, but really has better quality compared to everything else up to this point. Performance here is pretty much beast mode, 9, 10, 11 hours, very loud projection, comes really nicely packaged. The only drawback of this fragrance is the price tag, the slightly higher price tag, and also the fact that you only get 60 ml bottle size. But all around, this, along with Oros Pure Leather Gold, actually has the highest quality. And a few words about Oros Pure Leather Gold. This one is, in my opinion, you know, the best alternative to Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade out of those 5 that I just showed you. This has the best quality raspberry note that just brings it a little bit closer to the original fragrance. In my opinion, this feels a little bit more leathery compared to the original scent. The agar oud note is as strong as the original fragrance. It doesn't feel skanky or animalic at all. All around, the quality here is really nice. It has very good performance, another beast mode performing scent that lasts 9, 10, 11 hours, has a very loud projection. It's a room filler type of scent, and all around the quality here is superb. Again, the only drawback of this fragrance is the price tag. It's the most expensive scent in here, but again, I think that's down simply to the quality, and even at that price point it's still like 5 or 6 times cheaper compared to the original fragrance. All around, I think Oros Pure Leather Gold is the best alternative, but also the most expensive alternative to Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade. And at the end, a few final words about today's fragrance battle. A few points of interest, a few points to take in mind. If you're not familiar with the original scent, and just keeping in mind that it's a bit challenging, it's not your everyday type of scent, it's not a bluish type of scent. If you want to try out that scent profile, but you want to do it for the least amount of money, then my suggestion will be to just try and source Ilham Al Oud from Zimaya, simply because of how cheap this fragrance is. For something like 10-12 euros, you can try to experience what it is like to wear something similar to Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade. So if you don't want to commit to a blind buy of a fragrance that's quite expensive, then you can get to know the scent profile with the least amount of money if you go with Ilham Al Oud. Super cheap, very affordable, but again has the lowest quality out of all 5 fragrances that are featured in today's video. Just keep that in mind, but basically this is the cheapest way that you can get to know the scent profile of the original fragrance. A nice, on the other spectrum, on the other end, the two best options, the two highest quality options as alternatives of Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade are the Shadow from FA Paris and Oros Pure Leather Gold. Both of them have super high quality, both of them have beast mode performance, and both of them will get you very close to the original scent. But again, they are the most expensive options in here. The Shadow comes in a 60 ml bottle size, which is a con in my opinion, and Oros Pure Leather Gold is the most expensive here. Again, keep that in mind, but I think this has the highest quality. So in my opinion, the highest quality and best alternative to Ombre Nomade is Oros Pure Leather Gold. But if you want to stand somewhere in, like, you find the middle ground, the best compromise when it comes to quality but price as well at the same time, then a good choice will be Jean Lowe Ombre from Maison Alhambra. It will get you close to the original fragrance. With time this actually evolved and macerated and became a little bit better than it was initially. It has a very strong performance, comes nicely packaged, will get you decently close to the original fragrance, and also will not cost you that much amount of money. Again, at least around here in Europe, this costs somewhere between 30, 35 up to 40 euros, which makes it stand somewhere in the middle of the price range. So again, cheapest option, Ilham Al Oud. The best option but the most expensive option, Oros Pure Leather Gold, and the best sort of a middle ground or best compromise of quality, performance and scent profile, Jean Lowe Ombre from Maison Alhambra. And so guys, in today's video I tried to quickly compare 5 alternatives of Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade that you can get your hands on. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.